Welcome to the Body Harmonics Podcast, where we move freely, heal deeply, and flow with ease. I'm your host, Renee McLaughlin, somatic educator and the creator of Body Harmonics. For over 30 years, I've guided people like you out of pain and limitation and back into your body's innate wisdom. Are you ready to awaken your life? Let's dive in. Hi, I am excited to share this episode of the Body Harmonics. Today, I really want to take some time to delve in to the whole idea that you must lift weights in order to get strong and be vital as we age, especially us women. You know, all I see out there in the social media realm are influencers and doctors and personal trainers saying, the studies say you must lift weights, otherwise you're going to be just frail and you're not going to be able to get up and down off the floor, and just like fear, you must lift weights. So I step back and I think about this for a while. All the studies show. So, you know, science is incredible. It really is. It's wonderful. It helps advance us as civilizations. There's so much wonderful stuff to understanding and dealing with science. But science is also limited. Why do I say this? Well, because it's limited to the people who are putting it together. We have a theory, and then we study to see if our theory is confirmed, right? And so we're already being an observer with an understanding and a belief system, so that, you know, we say that with a study, it's the observed and the observer can change what's observed. It all depends on our own perception of what it is we're seeing. Just like 5 people watching an accident out on the street, and you're going to get 5 different versions of what just happened. It's the same thing with the study of science. So yes, there can be conclusions, but those conclusions are also in a specific space, in a context, based on the context of the study. All right, Renee, why are you going into all this? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because I realize that as, I'm going to say women, but it's everybody. It's just that I typically are working with women and those of us who are maybe over 45. So this is all true for everybody, but this is my specific demographic that I'm speaking to. You know, we all need movement, and we need to be strong, and we need to be strong as we get older. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I completely agree, and that we just know that. That's an intuitive knowing, right? I don't need a study to prove that. The thing that I feel is lifting weights the only way to get strong? And I'm here to tell you, I don't agree with that. Now, that being said, I always like to preface this whole talk that if you are lifting weights and it is working for you and you feel great and you've got flexibility and mobility as well as strength and you're happy with it, great, then that is the right thing for you. But if that's not the situation that you're in, I hope that you'll listen a little bit to my explanation of what I'm sort of creating, and along with all of us, hopefully co-creating another way that works so beautifully to also get very strong. But not only to get strong, but to also be very mobile and flexible. So I just have to tell you this little story. Years and years ago, when I was teaching T-Tapp, which is a muscle activation technique where we were doing a lot of the things that I'm going to suggest today, not all of it, but a lot of it, that's my foundation. Somehow 2 weightlifters, big guys, weightlifters, somehow found me and came to see me to teach them T-Tapp. I know, I was kind of blown away, to be honest. But anyway, they were humped. I mean, yes, they were strong. They were weightlifters, but they were so inflexible. I mean, I was just putting them into our very first move, which is basically hinge over and bring your elbows up. And these guys could barely move. I saw them twice and they were gone, which is too bad because it would have really helped them. So my point is, I believe that with weight training, a lot of times you can lift weights, you can get strong, but are you also flexible and mobile? Or do you have to do that and 5 other things, right? And then we're also going to have to stretch. And how are you stretching? And then what are you doing for your nervous system and the nervous system regulation? So there's so much more to different kinds of movement so that we can really age with vitality and with mobility. So after I was done doing all my live teaching, of course, I was also doing a lot of movement. And before I stopped teaching, part of what I did do, because it was asked of me a lot, Renee, I'm seeing all these studies, we need to do weight training. So I did work, kind of trained and learned a good routine on weights. We were doing, obviously, because it's online, we were doing dumbbell weights. Yeah, that was fine. I actually enjoy lifting weights. But here's what I found. When I stopped teaching, I wasn't, I really got to go A, to a gym, or B, to start picking up these weights. When I would do it afterwards, number one, right afterwards, I could tell that my adrenals were really got a pretty big hit. Like I would kind of do a bit of a shakiness, which I didn't like because I'm already somebody who has to really watch their energy and keep an energy reserve. You might be the same way. So I was that, okay. But then for the next 2 or 3 days, I was stiff and I was sore. And then I had to spend a lot of time just stretching it out and moving. Right? So we know that when you lift weights as a way to increase your muscle strength, those muscles go through micro tears and then they have to be built back up, right? That's how you build muscle in that particular arena. So I was kind of like, I don't want to do that, but obviously I need to maintain my strength. So I started going back into, all right, with T-Tapp, my goodness, that workout worked for so many reasons. And Teresa Tapp was such a genius and she was so ahead of her time. I want to then take us back into the idea of fascia. So any of you that know that follow me at all, I am just a fascia fanatic. Why? Because fascia is everything. It is now, our biggest organ system. It is through every single cell. It's through our bones and our ligaments and all our organs. And I mean, it's everything. And it is our body's communication system. Now, why am I bringing this up? Bringing it into this whole idea of science. Well, because Teresa Tapp was talking about fascia and using her workout to share information and teach us about the importance of fascia and how to work it and how important it is to work our hands and our feet, that the feet are the foundations. The hands are the endpoints of fascia. Now, let's take it, and that was before anybody in the West ever talked about fascia. Now, in the East, in the Orient, and in Asia, of course, they were talking about meridians for 3,000 years because in Asia, that whole Eastern philosophy and how their whole even health and wellness system was created was the understanding that we, as this human organism, we are just a part of the environment around us. And so they would observe the environment. They would observe the turning of the seasons, the movements of water, of the sky. And so they created movements. I'm just doing this because that's how I experience it, like Tai Chi, like Qigong. And it's all about moving in a way that's also part of the environment. And so they recognized the whole idea of the meridian system. Now, in the West, We thought that was just ridiculous, right? We need real science. And so we would cut up cadavers, right? And we would do that type of autopsy or whatever we were doing as we were teaching, even in medical schools. And so we would, they would take the fascia and they would just peel it off as though this incredible, beyond magnificent human body had anything that wasn't needed, right? The fascia, and they would just peel it off and put it away. Like that didn't have anything to do with anything. Well, now we know that fascia is everything. It's our whole communication system. And it also, now we're recognizing, mirrors the meridian system. All right, bringing this all the way up to how T-Tapp taught us the importance of fascia and how to work the fascia. Again, I'm doing it this way because fascia is very, it's flexible. It has what's called transegrity moving, meaning that if you go pulling up here in the body, it doesn't just affect here. It could affect everything in the body. And so understanding and beginning to get this sense of the power of the fascia and how we can use it in a way that can really help us get not only strong, but strong and flexible. And that was a whole idea of using also the hands and the feet. We did all this work with both of those. And you guys know, if you followed it at all with T-Tapp, she had a whole finger and foot fitness video that she would do showing all these and the feet. And we would go to retreats with her and she would do a whole foot fitness thing. I will never forget this, like in the morning. And so we were working our feet in all these different ways and working the lower legs and the ankles and the calves. And I remember then after that session, we would walk out to say, go down the street to have something to eat. And I remember just saying, oh my gosh, I just feel like I'm walking on little pillows and my whole body just felt so good. And after all, isn't that what we're looking for? We're looking to have that kind of mobility and vitality and energy in the body. So I knew that as I was thinking, how am I going to really work in my own body? And then what I love to do is once I feel it and start to really explore, I love to share with all of you. And so maybe we can together co-create. I'm like, we need something that creates that, number one, but we also need strength. So T-Tapp was and is a muscle activation technique, learning how to activate those muscles. Were there some things, though, that I wanted to then take from T-Tapp that I wanted to include as an exploration in addition to that. And one of those things is T-Tap was very, I'm going to call it a couple of things. My word, kind of almost militaristic. You had to do it this way, or, or you wouldn't slim your thighs. Okay, well, you know what? I'm kind of not into all that militaristic anywhere because all of our bodies are so individual. Our bones and how each of us are structured, not the same. Now, she did say we all had different body types, but she felt that those moves of T-Tapp would be right for all body types. I'm not saying that's true or not true, but what I'm saying is I really wanted something that was much more individual and that each of us could work with in a way that felt good in our bodies and that we empowered ourselves to feel that. I don't want people to give me their power. Renee, tell me how to do this. I'm not in your body. I don't know how your body feels when you do certain things. I wanted something that had a philosophy, a way to do things, but that then you could take and put into your body so that it was yours. And, some days we have more energy than other days. How can we make a a principle, a new way of flowing and strengthening and working with the body that could also work with us on the different days and how we're feeling that day. So put all that into that kind of context right there. And also, we obviously need it to create great strength in the body. I agree with that part of the science. We need to be strong. We need to get all of our muscles strong, but we need them to be strong and mobile and flexible. And that's the part that I believe does not happen with strength training using weights. All right, and here's the third part. And this part, I think, is a huge missing part. And as I have included it now into the Empowered Strength Flow class, wow, that's the one thing that people are really noticing. So what is that? It's nervous system regulation. So here's a little factoid for you. Tight, tense muscles cannot be strengthened. You can't strengthen a muscle that's already tight. I mean, just think of that. If you are holding tension in your muscles, let's say in your shoulders, in your jaw, right, in your belly, you're holding tight. How are you going to strengthen that? Oh, well, let's just put even more tension in it. Oh, my goodness. That's something that's not really being talked about or really included in any other kind of principle or flow class that I've seen recently. And so I really wanted to add that piece to it. And I've also studied somatic movement, gentle somatic yoga, the whole idea of the Hannah somatics, and that idea of pandiculation. And what is a pandiculation? It's not a stretch, which is interesting. Instead, what you're doing is you're almost going into the tension, because this is neurological. If you're tight in your neck and shoulders, your brain has lost that connection to releasing the muscles, right? So all day long, we're tense, tense, tense. We're up like this. And the brain just kind of stays here over time. It loses that understanding in the sensory motor cortex of the body or the brain. Relax. So we need to get the brain back on board with these tense muscles. And we do it in a number of ways. But thinking about neck and shoulders, because so much of us, we're holding the whole weight of the world right up there, right? So if you just think about having a weight in your hand, okay, this is how we're going to add all of this together. And you inhale, and with weight, like, oh my gosh, I've got 20-pound weights there. And now I'm going to slowly, with that weight, with the weight, I'm going to drop it down, and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to give it weight up. Hey, brain, it's these muscles. And then I'm going to give it down. And then over time, as we continue to do, I love doing circles too. That's another part of the technique. So I'm just going to do it now so you can explore it, going slowly, mindfully noticing. What are you feeling? Let's get the brain back involved. This is not let's just do these, but we're watching TV and doing everything we can to get out of our bodies while we're working the body. No, let's go in and go, wow, like right there, I'm feeling some extra tension. What might happen if I do this? And then over time, you get a little bit tired. Okay, the muscles are getting tired. Now you release some of that tension. Instead of holding up and working with those 20-pound weights in your hands, visualizing and feeling, we're now going to go down to maybe 10, but keep moving. And keep breathing with it. And then before you know it, just keep relaxing and releasing. Keep doing the movement, but with no tension at all. And you will be blown away by what that does. So now you're strength training, but you're giving yourself as much as you can. If you want to start with about an 80% weight, that's a lot, but you're doing it yourself. So your amount of your 80% weight of how much you can do, say just even a shoulder shrug, and my amount are going to be completely different. Don't ask me how much and what that looks like. I'm not in your body. You are. And that's why this is so beautifully co-created. I can give some, let's try doing this. But the way you're going to feel and how you're going to do it is going to be completely up to you. We use that intense strength. Okay, how much resistance? And then when we start to get tired, those muscles get tired. We start to lessen and lessen and lessen. And before you know it, whoo, wow, all of a sudden, not only did you just work muscles, but now you're also so much looser and you can move. It's just a beautiful way to incorporate so many of these different aspects. Here's one more aspect that I want to go over today, and that is the idea of sacred geometry. Man, I'm talking science, I'm talking geometry here. All I mean by that is that sacred geometry is everywhere, all in the cosmos. In one of the most important types of sacred geometry is the spiral. That world, things work in spirals. And I learned that first from Meredith Sanskeeter, who I studied with for somatic stretch. Brilliant, brilliant woman. Just talked about fractal, she calls it fractal anatomy, because the body is all fractals. It's all working in patterns. And guess what? It's also fractal around the cosmos. There's so much to all this, and we'll be delving and diving in deep because it's a fascinating study. That being said, the one thing that I found with T-Tapp that it didn't necessarily have and that my body really craved is the idea, as you can see me doing all this, of spirals. Yes, she did it in some things, but I love that feeling of working in spirals. So just real quickly, I want you to just feel how good that feels. So doing the shoulder shrug and working it in spirals, the body just feels good. 1 and 2, right? You can do it in so many different ways. Just a beautiful thing, as opposed to just straight up and straight down. Yeah, that works, bump, bump. But when you start to really do that, and notice how that when you work in spirals, the whole body gets involved. So in the empowered strength flow class, we first isolate a lot of the muscles so that you can slow down, go inside, and really feel what's happening. Here's an example. You can intertwine your fingers, okay, noticing what thumb is on top, and pull. So here's our strength, the self-resistance part, the strength part. I'm pulling. So do it yourself and just notice if you come in, what muscles do you feel? And when you go back out a little bit, you feel different muscles working, right? Now keep pulling. Let's go. You go to your 80% and let's do just some circles. You might want to start small. We include the breath. That's a lot for today and all this information, right? But we do include the breath because breath is life and we're working full body. And then I'm going to go just a little bit faster. And then you can kind of go up and just notice. Notice as you're doing this, man, I am pulling these hands. I am getting strong. I am using many more muscle bundles and fibers than if I was just trying to get in maybe and do a weight. Boom, 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 boom. How many muscles at one time and how full body and what all does that feel like with this? Now I'm just wanting to do this. Like my body's going, okay. Oh, I'm pulling. Now maybe while I'm isolating up in here, but no, I'm not, because as I'm going up, I'm getting a stretch all the way up in my torso. My legs are bent a little. And so as I'm doing this, I'm moving full body, actually, and everything is getting worked. Now, I did it, that thumb on top. I'm going to switch. We need to get balance. Now pull. That always feels so weird when you switch that one. So it's a pull. Now I'm going to do it again. Doing some circles. Noticing, is one side pulling tighter than the other? Always. We have one side of our bodies that is stronger than the other, and it takes over. And a lot of times it's that one where you start to feel some pain because it's overworking, but the other one isn't working enough. So here's another beautiful benefit of doing this kind of work. You rebalance your musculature, and when you're much more rebalanced, you lessen the potential for some type of injury. Pulling, pushing, moving in spirals, in circles, increasing the amount of tension first and then lessening all the way to the end. So we're working fascia. We're working muscle, tendons, ligaments, full body. And we're also doing it in a way that we can regulate that nervous system. All this, you guys, you can get all this in just one empowered strength flow class. Now, okay, Renee, so how often do I have to do it? And how long is each session? Well, when I'm teaching class, and by the way, I'm going to be teaching this class this coming Saturday at noon. We'll have a link Eastern time. Love to have you join us. This particular one is a free on Zoom. But here's the fun thing. You know, when I teach a class, it will probably be right around, 40, 45 minutes because, we talk and we explore and we have some feedback back and forth. But you know what? Once you start to find what you want to do, just some shoulder work, maybe doing some pliés so that you work in the legs at the same time you're working up, you'll find the moves that you really feel inspired to do. My goodness, you can do a 10-minute, just get up and do some of these things. This is what I do all day long. Every time I get up, the computer, I'm moving. You can put music together with it, right? It all works. So how nice to have a way wherever you are, on vacation or whatever, you don't need to take weights and bands and all that kind of thing. Wherever you are, you can just get up and in 10, 15 minutes, you can do your strength class and feel good and get really, really strong. I want to share with you, because of all the muscle fibers and bundles that you are working at one time, especially when you really learn how to get that self-resistance, you will be strong and you will be flexible and much more mobile, because you know what? Life is movement and movement is life. And when we stop moving, we stagnate and we start going backwards. And that's not what all of our lives are about. So I hope that this introduction was helpful. I would love, love, love to help share it. And as I say, I'm creating it. It's kind of coming through and my body's kind of showing me what it feels like in my body. And so I would love to also have you explore it and then you create how it was going to be for you. It's truly a movement. It's a new movement in movement. Take good care. Have a great day and you stay fit and fabulous. Thank you for joining me today on the Body Harmonics Podcast. I hope this conversation sparked something inside of you, a reminder to slow down, breathe deeply, and come back home to your body. And if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. It's the best way to help us share this message and keep these heart-centered conversations going. And if you're eager and ready to go deeper, connect with me on social media at Body Harmonics, or head over to our website for free resources, upcoming retreats, and ways to move, heal, and flow together. And until next time, remember, move freely, heal deeply, and flow with